Kicking off the list at number 10, we have Fuse, aka Johnny Watts. Making his debut in Hawkeye Volume 5, Issue 2 in 2017, we find Johnny crossing paths with Kate. We find Kate taking out some frat boys, and she actually almost shoots Johnny. But he insists that he hangs around to make sure that she's okay. He's not a bad guy, he's not a threat. He's actually quite amazing. Everyone be like Johnny. It's not hard. Watch out for people. And then he returns in the next issue after finding Kate, but this time we see him insist that he goes along for the ride. Interesting. He got close to Kate during investigations, and eventually Kate ends up having feelings for Johnny. In an amazing reveal, we find out Johnny's true purpose. So during a battle with Hawkeye and Madame Mask's crew, Johnny saves Kate's life by shielding her from falling concrete. Super strength? Super speed? No. See, Johnny can omnimorph duplicate. So basically, he can essentially become any substance that he makes contact with. Hence the fitting alter ego super name, Fuse. Johnny Watts is awesome. He's laid back, realistic, charming, of course. I'm kind of hoping we get a version of him in the Disney Plus Hawkeye series. He could be a nice mid-season surprise. I don't know, I'm here for it. And before we continue with our list, guys, if you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead and toss us a thumbs up on our video. It's this one, not this one. Unless you're Spider-Man, then it's that one. But still, you know, it goes a long way here at our secret base. You guys rock. Thank you so much, nerds. Back to some heroes. Let's go.
Coming in at number 9, we have MOSAIC. First appearing in Uncanny Inhumans number 11, Morris Sackett played pro basketball for the New York Stride, a 5-time championship winner. He has latent inhuman heritage in his DNA, which becomes activated by a Terrigen bomb, transforming him into an inhuman through Terrigenesis. Seriously, he doesn't even have a physical body now. MOSAIC now exists as an unknown form of energy floating around, with the incredible ability to possess people and gain access to all of their memories, skills, and abilities. He can also phase through solid objects, levitate, and become invisible. He's actually picked up a whole lot of other abilities since he burst onto the scene because he keeps the abilities he learns when he possesses someone. He's got this interesting duality about him as a character in that he's got all of these cool abilities, but now it's like he doesn't even exist. I really love how Marvel is playing around with the concept of identity with this character because that's something that we're all thinking about. Who are you? Furthermore, who are you if you have no physical body?
And coming in at number 8, CLAYTON Cortez. Also known as Weapon H, CLAYTON made his debut in Totally Awesome Hulk issue 22. And he's exactly what you would guess. He's like Wolverine, but with far more discipline and control. CLAYTON was a Marine and former Eagle Star contractor, and he was actually hired a part-time to take out the villagers of Ujanka for sabotaging a Roxxon pipeline. So CLAYTON had a change of heart and then went ahead and killed his own men, which then led to his capture and sale to Dr. Alba. Dr. Alba is great at her job. I mean, that job, of course, being the creation of Wolverine Hulk monster hybrids. It didn't take long for the Hulk and other mutants to storm in and investigate Weapon X, and of course raid their central command. So Weapon H ended up retaining memories. So when he was sent out to fight H-Beta, there's like heads getting cut off. It's a really wild time, but Weapon H remembers getting tortured, so he wants revenge on the Weapon X staff. Nice. Luckily, the Hulk holds him back while they get away, or it would have been pretty messy, to say the least.
Number 7, Ironheart. Ironheart's big debut was Invincible Iron Man Volume 3 in 2016. Riri Williams built her own Iron Man suit and is a gifted young scientist enrolled at MIT. At age 15, a genius inventor, even at the age of 10, she reverse engineers the tech from Iron Man armor model number 41 and gets all inspired, going on to create her own prototype suit from stolen materials found on campus. When her actions raise the suspicion of campus security, she just throws on her suit and flies away. She winds up stopping some escaped prisoners and catching Tony Stark's attention, and he totally endorses her dream of becoming a superhero. During Civil War II, Tony Stark was knocked out by Captain Marvel, and Riri steps up to continue his legacy. She's been busy since her debut, joining up with the Champions to fight Hydra and eventually being offered her own lab at MIT. Some fun facts about Ironheart. The name Iron Woman was apparently too old-fashioned, and Iron Maiden, as you can imagine, was already taken. And she's a big fan of Tribe Called Quest.
And number 6, Snowguard. Making her first appearance in Champions Volume 2, she's a teenager from Canada. Yeah, from a village on Baffin Island in Nunavut. So Amka encountered the Inuit spirit Sela in containment while she was investigating the mastery of the world's faculty. So in Northern Lights Part 1, it really pulls you in right off the bat. It feels a lot like Star Wars in a way. Like when Rey was climbing around Starkiller Base, Amka tries to free Sila, but of course, she was attacked by the base's drones. So she ended up pushing them into a containment field, which caused an explosion that freed Sila. The explosion didn't end up injuring Amka. Her brave actions were a great call. The spirit actually healed her instantly. So Amka was trapped in the faculty, but she was now one with Sila's powers. Those powers being divine empowerment. So because of her actions saving Sila, she can now harness the spiritual energies of the Aurora Borealis and the Arctic. That's not too shabby, and that's also not all. She can also transform herself into animals, like more than one animal as well. She can make herself turn into like a group of animals. Private petting zoo for the win. And of course she can fly, because, you know, why not?
Number 5, Singularity. Singularity first appeared in A-Force number 1 in 2015, the all-female team of Avengers. Her origin is still a mystery for the most part. She first appears as a meteorite flying across the sky and crashing down near Arcadia on Battleworld. Nico Minoru, he comes along and he brings her to the rest of the A-Force, where she inexplicably opens a portal, like she's kind of like half conscious when this happens, and the portal opens and a giant hostile sentinel pops out. Later, in an epic display of power, Singularity absorbs an entire army of undead, swooping up into the sky and exploding in a flash of light to save her new friends. She next appears in the Marvel Prime universe in Avengers Volume 6. When she appears, the villain known as Antimatter is also created and immediately attacks Singularity, but he is defeated soon after. Singularity is believed to be something like the physical embodiment of a black hole. She's capable of flight, teleportation, and even time traveling. Maybe she can go back and fix some of these crazy convoluted timelines.
And coming in at number 4, Sleeper. Making its first appearance back in 2018, Sleeper is the 7th spawn of Venom. We can find Sleeper's first appearance in Venom issue 18. See, Sleeper is the outcome of a difficult and pretty awful pregnancy. You don't say. There's the link. So Sleeper takes on the host of Tel-Kar, a Kree soldier who is very much not alive at this point. Sleeper is terrifying, but just wait until he combines with the other symbiotes and becomes hybrid. Oh my god. In First Host issue 5, Sleeper saved Eddie Brock by merging with Tel-Kar, saying to Eddie, "I lobotomized him. He made my parents his mindless servant." Turnabout seemed like fair play. This body is strong. There are depths of knowledge and memories in this mind. Worlds, galaxies. I've been kept in a cage my whole life, and there's so much to see out there, and I will see it. I know you did your best, Father, but I just don't need a cage anymore. And if that's not a badass line, I can tell you what is, really. Readers point out that the length of Tel-Kar's hair actually gives us an idea that this forced symbiosis worked, at least for a bit. One of the best moments with Sleeper has to be at issue 19 when he bonds to Dylan, or at least try to.
Number 3, Moon Girl. So in 1978, Marvel Comics released the first issue of Devil Dinosaur, accompanied by his partner Moon Boy, the first human, like the first human ever. This is a prehistoric old school story from Marvel, and it's recently been revamped. In 2015, Marvel released Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur number 1, where we meet the next generation, Lunella Lafayette. A super genius child inventor, she becomes obsessed with the Kree and builds a device to study Kree technology, and she has a real talent for inventing gadgets. When one of her teachers accidentally activates a device she invented, it inadvertently opens a portal to another world, and the killer folk from Devil Dinosaur's universe come through to the present day New York with the Devil Beast himself in tow. Luna's studies led her to learning that she was susceptible to the Terrigen mist surrounding the Earth, similar to MOSAIC, and she is terrified of Terrigenesis transforming her. She gets kidnapped by the killer folk, and Devil Beast comes along and helps her out. She later rescues Devil Beast when he gets captured and kept at the Bronx Zoo, and it's the beginning of a beautiful friendship. She later even earns the ability to swap consciousnesses with the Devil Dinosaur. Of course, with the consciousness of a dinosaur inside of her body, she kind of comes off as a crazy feral beast. One of the coolest things about Moon Girl is that despite her age, she is one of the most genius characters in the Marvel Universe, with a genius intellect rivaling even Bruce Banner.
And number 2, Gib. Making his first appearance in Runaways Volume 5, Issue 13, Gib was the last of the Gibrim left on Earth, and he's of course a member of the Runaways now. The seed of the Gibrim discovered the Runaways and were going to demand that they honor their parents' promise, which was to inherit the Earth, empowered by the billions of sacrificed souls. Awesome! Well, thankfully the Runaways prevented all that from happening and trapped the Gibrim in limbo. See, Gib was tasked to stay with the Runaways and guard them for about a week. So during this time with the Runaways, Gib is like, these guys are pretty cool, maybe I'll stick around, I don't know. And he saw their kindness and compassion, and then when Rim and Bo returned, Gib tried to convince them to forgo the right of thunder. See, Gib has our backs, that's our man right there. All the while, Gert was prepping to send them into the future, like 999 years into the future. Did Black Widow finally come out? Let us know, we're still waiting back here in 2020, we're still waiting. The Runaways welcome Gib with open arms, and they even help him find an alternate meal plan, rather than feasting on sacrificed souls. His appearance is pretty epic alone. I mean, his powers, of course, enhance strength, but also shapeshifting. Yeah, Gib matches the appearance of the people surrounding him. And apparently his true form would cause eyes to bleed. So if you're playing Marco Polo with Gib, don't want to cheat, trust me, you do not want to cheat.
Coming in at number 1, we have Emily Bright. Emily just burst onto the scene this year in Marvel's Strange Academy number 1. She was actually born with her magical abilities, totally freaking out her parents. She'd sometimes levitate her toys around and even levitate her dog once. One day, her dog is hit by a car and she winds up healing the animal with her magical abilities. This leads to her contacting Doctor Strange and asking for his help, and she becomes enrolled in his newly created Strange Academy. She receives some high praise from Scarlet Witch on her first day, and by lunchtime, she's used more magic in one day than she's ever used before in her life. I'm loving this new series. It seems to take inspiration from Umbrella Academy and Professor X's School for Gifted Youngsters, and it's really cool just seeing some characters kind of finding themselves and figuring out how exactly they want to use their powers. Number 10, Cloud9. Also known as Abigail Boylan, this character made her big debut in Avengers: The Initiative in 2007. Abigail was a shy girl from Illinois who came into contact with an alien gas cloud that allowed her to control it. She had no interest in being a hero though, she just wanted to fly around. Destiny soon catches up with her though, and War Machine picks her up and recruits her into the Initiative, a post-Civil War agreement that each of the 50 states have its own superhero squad. She participates in an emergency mission to protect the president from an assassination attempt by Hydra. Fun fact, the president is George Bush in this issue. Cloud9's power is called gaseous aerokinesis, meaning she can generate and manipulate gas, creating multiple clouds for a concealing mist effect or using the gas to suffocate others. I also have this ability. Pretty cool stuff, but the gas is mostly used for flight, allowing her to reach speeds up to 600 miles per hour. Number 9, Brenda Drago. First appearing in Spider-Girl number 18 in the year 2000, Brenda was forced into a life of crime by her abusive ex-boyfriend. He gave her a suit equipped with functioning wings, and she became the flying thief known as Raptor. However, her crime spree is cut short by Spider-Girl, and the two become fast friends. Similar to Cloud9, she's mostly known for her ability to fly around, but her wings are also razor sharp, making her a formidable aerial opponent. She has been a member of the New Warriors and the Savage Six. She's also married to Spider-Girl's friend, Normie Osborn. It's an alternate universe. Hey guys, before I get down to the next one, please take a second to hit that like button. Really helps us out here at Top 10 Nerd. Number 8, Michael Van Patrick. MVP came onto the scene in 2007 in Avengers: The Initiative. See, the scientist who created the super soldier serum for Captain America had also researched a revolutionary diet and exercise regimen, which he theorized would create the ultimate soldier, but it would require a lifetime of adherence to produce the right results. Well, the US Army basically was like, I want my super soldier now! So the scientist scrapped those plans and he started working on perfecting the super soldier serum. When the scientist eventually died, the research was passed down through his family, eventually ending up in the hands of Brian Van Patrick, who raised his son Michael on the principles of that original research. Michael quickly became one of the greatest athletes in America, but lost it all when he fell under heavy scrutiny due to him being the great-grandson of Captain America. It's a tragic hand to be dealt, as Michael loses nearly every award he's ever received, even though all of his abilities came from good old-fashioned training. He does find his shine, however, when he joins the Initiative, and in his training breaks the course record for heroes without super speed. He is pretty awesome, but he does unfortunately die later on. Number 7, Luna Snow. Neat story about her. She technically first appears in the mobile game Marvel Future Fight, released in 2015. But Luna's first appearance in a comic book was in Marvel's War of the Realms event in 2019. She's a South Korean K-pop singer turned superhero. She was on stage performing at Stark Arena when the area was attacked by Joro's spider and her AIM scientists. Luna and her bandmates are taken hostage, and she is held inside a cold fusion reactor. When the reactor malfunctions, Luna receives cryokinetic abilities, and she uses them to escape and free her friends, later becoming the hero known as Luna Snow. She later on fights against an invasion of fire demons, freezing the ground beneath them and blasting them with ice shards. Number 6. Roger Brokerage. Also known as Hardball, Roger made his debut in Avengers The Initiative in 2007. Roger grew up in Los Angeles, and he wasn't happy when his brother Paul received special powers from the Power Broker, a villain who gives superpowers in exchange for a percentage of the money that you make with them. Worse, Paul gets intensely injured, and his family starts to greatly suffer under the weight of his medical bills. So Roger is not too happy about this and decides he's going to kill his brother. But in the end, he just can't go through with it and decides instead that he's going to kill the Power Broker. On approaching the Power Broker, however, he is convinced by him to gain some superpowers for himself. And it's super painful, but he winds up gaining the ability to create hard balls of light. He sets out on a mission to rob an armored car, but he ends up rescuing a woman instead. Man, this guy always ends up doing something different than he planned. In the end, he helps defend the president against an attack from Hydra and joins the Avengers initiative of Nevada, the heavy hitters. Number 5. Wave. Also known as Pearl, she also made her debut in War of the Realms in 2019. She grew up in the Philippines, a promising swimmer with Olympic potential. She was approached in her youth by Alon Tech, a seedy organization that used her swimming expertise for experiments. One day, she is drenched in water that has been exposed to unknown energies, and she gains the ability to control water. She's later taken in by a group of heroes who help her learn how to use her new powers, becoming the superhero called Wave. She eventually becomes part of Triumph Division, the Southeast Asia initiative. She later confronts the fire giants and their leader Cinder, who senses Wave's elemental power and attempts to lure her away from her homeland. Her hydrokinesis powers allow her to manipulate water in any form, even solid or gas, making her surprisingly powerful. Number 4. Arrow. Also called Lei Ling, Arrow made her debut in a self-titled comic in 2018. A Chinese agent from Shanghai, she has powers of aerokinesis, allowing her to generate and control the wind. She was once in a confrontation with Wave from Triumph's division. Like Wave, she had been tricked and lured away from her homeland, leaving it undefended. She is affiliated with the Agents of Atlas alongside 3D Man and Jake O, the new war machine. Her powers allow her to not only fly, but blast bursts of wind from her arms or legs, reportedly strong enough to destroy high-grade concrete. She also has the ability to solidify the air into shapes, like swords or platforms, as well as creating air bombs or generating whirlwinds. She has had her powers since she was a child, and founded her own architecture firm called Sacred Tree Design. Number 3. Crescent. Similar to Luna Snow, this character also first appeared in Marvel's Future Fight mobile game, and later appeared in War of the Realms in 2019. Crescent is a child, weighs 60 pounds, and is a Taekwondo prodigy. She was there when the Agents of Atlas went up against Cinder and her fire giants, but eventually she did become overwhelmed. She has the power of a half-moon bear spirit, and she uses the power of her mask to avoid fire blasts from the fire demons. There's a lot of cool new characters like her in the War of the Realms storyline. I definitely recommend checking it out. Number 2. White Fox. Also known as Amy Han, this character first appeared in Marvel's Contest of Champions in 2015. She is the last of the Kumiho, a mystical shape-shifting nine-tailed fox. Legends say that the fox hunts and seduces men to eat their hearts. Her grandmother was a Kumiho who fell in love with a man, and he helped her discover her humanity. She was raised to hide her true form from others, and was super good at it, later becoming an intelligence agent for the South Korean government. She once allied with Black Widow and Domino to help destroy the Creation Constellation, an artifact that can turn humans into Celestials. However, the team discovers that White Fox intended to get infected by the constellation in order to gain cosmic power, so they kick her out of the team. She has incredible superhuman capabilities, the full extent of which is still unknown. And here we are at number 1, Kamala Khan. She is most notably known as the protagonist in Marvel's new Avengers game, but Kamala Khan originally burst on the scene in 2013 in Captain Marvel Volume 7. Kamala is a Muslim Pakistani American teenager from New Jersey, and she takes up the mantle of Miss Marvel after Carol Danvers. As a child, she made friends with a boy named Bruno, and the two bonded over their shared love of the TV series Tween Mutant Samurai Turtles. One night, she goes to a waterfront party against her parents' wishes, gets made fun of by some mean kids named Zoe and Josh, and she goes home sad. Kamala was traveling home from this party at the same time that the Terrigen mists blanketed Jersey City, and the mist put her into a coma where she had a vision of Captain Marvel. She awakens from the mist and is shocked to discover she's been transformed into a polymorph, able to change her body into virtually anything. Struggling to gain control of her powers, she runs around the neighborhood, eventually winding up back at the waterfront. She's just running around freaking out about having superpowers. She gets back to the waterfront and finds Zoe has fallen into the river. She rescues Zoe and feels really good about it until she gets home and is grounded for sneaking out. She later stops a burglary and discovers she has the ability to heal herself from gunshots just by transforming back to her regular form. Some fun facts about Kamala: her name means perfection in Arabic, and she plays an online game called World of Battlecraft based on the popular Warcraft games.
Number 10. Katie Chen from the MCU. Katie, or Ruin Chen, is probably one of my favorite new characters in the MCU, if not just my full-on favorite now, I think. Katie is the best friend of Sean and grew up with him, but later learns that her friend Sean has a complicated past that he's been running from for basically years. And in fact, Sean's given name was never actually Sean, but instead Shang-Chi. Katie might not have superpowers, but she comes with a can-do attitude no matter the odds. We also learned that despite the fact that Katie works as a valet alongside Sean, that she actually graduated from Berkeley, but isn't really doing much with her college degree. Katie loves driving fast and karaoke, a woman after my own heart. Number 9. L'Oreal. Not to be confused with L'Oreal, which is a brand. Just to be clear. L'Oreal is the sister of Captain Marvel, who first appeared in issue 18 of the current Captain Marvel series, which started back in 2019. She was genetically bred by Kree scientists who created her to be a powerful warrior using the DNA of 2 accomplished Kree warriors who came before her, one of which was Carol Danvers' mother, Mari-El. That makes L'Oreal Carol's full Kree half-sister. Carol was working as an accuser when she first ran into L'Oreal, and was tasked with apprehending and executing her, as she was believed to be the Kree responsible for a large massacre. Carol learned of L'Oreal's parentage and believed her to be innocent, so instead spirited her away until she could locate the person who was truly responsible for the massacre. After the events of Empire, where the two sisters fought side by side, L'Oreal ended up becoming Emperor Hulkling's new accuser, taking Carol's place. Also, L'Oreal, fun fact, is really funny, and if you get to read her as Emperor Hulkling's accuser, you'll see what I'm talking about. Number 8. Werewolf by Night. The new Werewolf by Night is known as Jake Gomez. He made his first appearance in the newest Werewolf by Night series in issue number 1. Jake discovers as a teenager that he can transform into a wolf during the night, no full moon necessary. Jake ends up wrestling with his werewolf form, attempting to use it to do some good for his people while struggling to be in full control of himself while transformed. Jake is supported by his sister Molly, who helps him by using music, creating playlists to help soothe him, allowing him to gain more control, and his grandmother. Number 7. Zhu Xialing from the MCU. Zhu Xialing is the sister of Shang-Chi, who appears in his self-titled feature film. We learned that despite the fact that her father never felt it would be appropriate to train her, at night she would practice in secret, watching his elite soldiers, known as the 10 Rings, during the day, and attempting to teach herself their movements during the night. Like her brother Shang-Chi, she also became a woman on the run. However, for Xialing, instead of running from her potential destiny, she attempts to seize for herself the role she feels was denied to her growing up. It's likely that the Shang-Chi film won't be the last that we'll see of this new Marvel Cinematic Universe character, and that she won't necessarily be quite as black and white as some of the other Marvel characters that we've come to know, which I'm so ready for. I love when characters have so much depth. Number 6. Black Winter. Black Winter is going to be a huge big bad that will be coming our way eventually in the comics. Likely much later on, like we're talking a few years away. Black Winter isn't actually a completely new character, but has recently been reinvented in terms of their part as one of the biggest bads ever faced in the comics. Black Winter actually first appeared under the name The Creeping Plague back in the 60s in Thor issue 169. But more recently in 2019, the entity appeared under a new name in Silver Surfer Black issue number 4, becoming known as Black Winter. The entity can take on any shape or form it pleases and is responsible for ending Galactus' home universe. The Black Winter will also likely be the way the current Marvel universe ends. While Thor and Galactus teamed up in the beginning of the current Thor run, Volume 6, Donny Cates' run, to destroy the Black Winter, Thor really only succeeded in temporarily defeating the entity, leaving Thor with visions of a bleak end to come, which includes the return of Thanos. Alright friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to learn about more of the newest characters that we've seen in the last year or two, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. There's lots of new characters. There's lots more people I want to talk to you about, so please give it a thumbs up. Share it. Get it the views so I can give you the video. Number 5. Yelena Belova from the MCU. Yelena Belova is like the little sister of Black Widow in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, though to be clear, she isn't blood related to Natasha, or not that we know of anyways. It turns out both Yelena and Natasha were part of a team of undercover Russian operatives and spies who were posing as an all-American family as their cover. They were in the US to gain important scientific intel when they were kids that the head of the Red Room, Dreykov, wanted to ultimately help expand and grow his empire. Yelena was posing as Natasha's little sister when they were undercover. Even after Black Widow became an Avenger and thought that she had actually taken down the Red Room, it was revealed that Yelena actually remained a spy and operative for the secret organization due to the fact that earlier on, Black Widow and Hawkeye had actually failed to complete that mission to destroy the organization in Budapest. Yelena will likely be taking over and becoming a sort of White Widow, if you will, in the MCU. At least that's what I think we're gonna know her as. Working on a team that Contessa Valentina Allegra de la Fontaine is putting together. In the comics, Yelena is a bit of a different character. She is a rival of Black Widow's who is sometimes an ally and sometimes a foe, depending on the circumstances. And as far as I know, she's never worn quite as cool of a vest as her MCU counterpart, though she was a model at one point. That was a thing that happened. Number 4. Genesis. Genesis is a pretty important character who apparently has always existed, but who we never really knew about. Ooh, mysteries. She made her first full appearance in the 2019 run of X-Men back in issue 12. We would learn that she is the wife of Apocalypse, who was long ago lost to her husband, who ended up leaving another mutant island nation known as Arakko. The other half, it turns out, of Krakoa. Genesis is a strong warrior and an all-around badass, basically pretty much exactly what you'd expect Apocalypse's wife to be. She also happens to be a mother, as it turns out that Apocalypse and Genesis together had a whole family of strong, also badass mutant children. Currently, Genesis and Apocalypse are back together and are likely taking a little off-panel vacation, as we haven't really seen them in a little while, so I hope they're enjoying themselves. Hope they're getting a time to reconnect, because they've been apart for so long. Number 3. Shang-Chi from the MCU. Shang-Chi first appeared in the comics back in the 70s, but it took him 13 years to make his way into the MCU from when it started way back in 2008. Simu Liu is the actor to take up the role of this new hero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Shang-Chi is introduced in his own self-titled feature film Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings, where no major plot spoilers here, no major plot spoilers. We learn that he is a man running from the past, living under the alias of Sean in the United States, after escaping the supposed wrath of his father, criminal overlord Wenwu. We follow him on his journey as he is suddenly recalled home, back to his family under mysterious circumstances, all while uncovering his family's story, history, and the Legend of the Ten Rings. If you haven't seen Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings yet, I actually cannot recommend this movie more. I think it actually may have become one of my all-time favorite films, both within and without the MCU. That is just how great it is. I cannot praise it enough. If you haven't seen it yet, like, pause this video, go watch it, and then come back. That's how good it is. You gotta go right now. Number 2. Venom. That's right, there is a new Venom in town. This one is the son of Eddie Brock and his ex-wife Anne Wang. His name is Dylan Brock. Dylan's existence at first was a shock to Eddie, and it also seemed as though Venom was involved in his genetic creation as well, being that Venom was bonded to Eddie at the time of Dylan's conception. Dylan and Eddie both, however, managed to survive past the crazy summer event that was Absolute Carnage, where a resurrected resurrected Cletus Cassidy as a Grendel symbiote version of Carnage, threatened to awaken the god of symbiotes, Null, who would threaten the entire Earth. While Eddie did manage to save his son Dylan, he could not avoid waking Null, who then arrived on Earth during another summer event, Marvel's King in Black event. With Null defeated, Eddie took his place as the god and ruler of symbiotes, and the Venom symbiote was tasked with keeping an eye on Dylan. Dylan has since bonded with the Venom symbiote, and together the two are now the new Venom. So you can enjoy that. Kids grow up so fast in comics. They don't get to be kids for very long, do they? Number 1. Kang the Conqueror from the MCU. Kang is a character that I really never would have expected to see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's happened, and I gotta say, I'm like weirdly hyped about it. Kang made his first appearance in the season 1 finale of Marvel's streaming series Loki, where he was played by Jonathan Majors. We already knew to expect Jonathan Majors as the character, but didn't anticipate him to show up so early in that role, instead expecting him to arrive in the MCU in Ant-Man and the Wasp's film Quantumania, where he was believed to be the major villain. It turns out, however, that there isn't just one Kang, but infinite Kangs across the multiverse. One of these Kangs was the one behind the Time Variance Authority, or the TVA, it turns out, but now that it has been toppled, this has allowed multiple realities with other, possibly even more sinister, powerful, and ruthless Kangs to spring up. So get ready for some Kang mania, it sounds like. Also, we need a Kang movie, because I want Quantumania and I want like Kang Mania to also be a movie now. Number 10. Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel was once Carol Danvers and is now Kamala Khan. And of course for this list we're focusing on Kamala, who was a new addition to the Avengers team in 2015, after making her first unnamed appearance only 2 years earlier in 2013 in the comics. Kamala is a huge Carol Danvers fan, which is what inspired her to take up the mantle Miss Marvel after Carol dropped it, taking up the Captain Marvel mantle instead herself. Kamala as Miss Marvel has powers which allow her to alter her body's physiology, allowing her to stretch, change size and shape, and in theory, straight up shapeshift. Her powers come from inhuman heritage, which was activated by her exposure to the Terrigen bomb. Kamala joined the team for a time during all new, all different Avengers, and remains a fan favorite hero at Marvel Comics. And to clarify before we move on to point 9, this is going to be a list of Avengers that have recently come onto the team, as opposed to new Avengers, which is kind of its own thing. There's a lot of new Avengers, so I just want to clarify that. Number 9. Wasp. Not the same Wasp who years ago was actually the leader of the Avengers for a while. Nuh-uh, we are not talking about Janet Van Dyne here, we are talking about Nadia Van Dyne, who despite her seemingly misleading name is actually the daughter of Hank Pym and his first wife, Maria Travoia. After her mother Maria was kidnapped and later killed, Nadia ended up being raised in the Red Room, considered a valuable asset due to her natural aptitude for science and academia, believed to be somewhat in part due to the fact that she was Hank's naturally born daughter. Nadia would eventually escape the Red Room and attempt to locate her father in the US, only to find out that he had recently died during a fight against Ultron. Nadia felt compelled to meet her stepmother, Janet, desiring to become the new Wasp. The two ended up getting along well, and Janet even gave Nadia her blessing to take her last name, seeing her as family. Hence, Nadia became both Nadia Van Dyne and the new Wasp, also going on to join the Avengers team. Number 8. Spider-Man. Peter Parker as Spider-Man has of course teamed up with the Avengers before, but Miles Morales as Spider-Man is a newer addition, not just in terms of the Avengers team, but also still relatively new in terms of him existing in 616. Miles Morales is originally a Spider-Man who hails from the Ultimate Comics line originating in Earth 1610, the Ultimate Universe. He was given a new home on Earth 616 after his world had been destroyed as a result of showing kindness to and sharing food with Molecule Man during the Secret Wars event. True story. Thank goodness for pocket cheeseburgers. Miles has a power set very similar to Peter's in many ways, but also has a few unique abilities of his own. He can shock his opponents with venom blasts and can sneak up on them with his spider camouflage, which he can use to appear invisible. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to learn about even more newest additions to the Avengers we've seen in recent years, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Number 7. Valkyrie. Valkyrie is Jane Foster, who was originally known as Thor when she joined the Avengers team the first time around. Jane ended up becoming the new Thor after Thor Odinson, the original Thor, was deemed unworthy. As the new Mighty Thor, editorially referred to at times as Lady Thor, Jane joined the Avengers team in the all-new, all-different Avengers series in 2015. Currently in the comics, Jane is no longer the Mighty Thor, but was welcomed into Asgardia by Odin, who gave her a new title and power set, making her a new Valkyrie. To clarify, I'm saying Asgardia because she was kind of like welcome to the whole world of Asgard, but she didn't go live on Asgard or anything specific like that. Currently, Valkyrie is the mantle that she uses. Being imbued with the spirit of Valkyrie Brunhilde gives Jane the strength and power set of an Asgardian warrior. In addition, there are specific powers that are also granted to Valkyries like herself. She can teleport, has death perception, and can see ghosts, in addition to being a super strong and capable fighter. Number 6. Starbrand. I kinda miss when Brandy was just like a little Starbrand baby. But of course, this is comics, and heroes can't stay babies forever. In fact, they can't even stay a baby for more than a year apparently. Especially if they're joining the Avengers, which I kinda get. Technically, the young Starbrand, Baby Selby, later given the first name Brandy, was in the care of the Avengers. Not really specifically on the team, kinda sorta like their ward. But despite being one of the youngest heroes to ever be affiliated with that team, this little Starbrand also would often help the team out on missions, being so insanely powerful. Starbrand possesses the Starbrand, which grants her a great amount of basically cosmic power. She is capable of interstellar flight and flight in general, energy manipulation and projection, creating energy blasts, and technically should also be super durable and have some level of healing factor. The Starbrand's power is believed to be potentially infinite when it comes to their power levels, making Starbrand one of the most powerful members on the team, in baby form, child form, or young adult form as she currently is as of the end of issue 52 of the current 2018 Avengers series. Number 5. Ghost Rider. While Starbrand might have the greatest potential for power, and we aren't sure entirely what she's capable of just yet, Robbie Reyes is a bit more experienced when it comes to his powers. And even when he was less experienced, he actually accidentally killed one of the previous Starbrands, Kevin Connor, in Marvel Legacy. So for those reasons, I thought we should give him a bit of a boost when it comes to his ranking on this list. Robbie Reyes first appeared in the comic scene in 2014 in all-new Ghost Rider issue number 1. He is an all-new Ghost Rider, just like the series claims. During a street race gone wrong, Robbie was killed and ended up possessed by the ghost who haunted the car that he was driving, becoming the new Ghost Rider. He joined up with the Avengers recently in the comics, and I think he makes a great addition to the team. I personally love Robbie Reyes, so yeah, I'm here for it. Number 4. Winter Hulk. While Jennifer Walters as She-Hulk may have joined the Avengers long ago, first joining up back in the 80s, she has gone through a lot of changes since then. One recent and major one, which also returned her to her smaller, smarter, more playful and sassy, yet still very powerful form, happened recently in Avengers comics. For a brief time, She-Hulk, then known as just Hulk, ended up becoming Winter Hulk. Winter Hulk happened as a result of Jen allowing herself to be kidnapped by the Winter Guard of Russia to try and figure out what they were up to. What devious things are they planning? In the end, they attempted to mind wipe and brainwash Hulk to turn her into one of their agents. And they kinda succeeded. Although the process was interrupted, for a brief time Jen acted as their agent, Winter Hulk. However, as Winter Hulk, Jen still managed to fight against her programming, and alert her fellow Avengers when sent to attack Namor and Atlantis. In the end, Winter Hulk was forced to absorb a ton of radiation to protect the citizens of Atlantis. She managed to discharge the gamma radiation she had absorbed safely, and as a result was returned to her original form, ultimately deciding to retire from the Avengers team after these events and return to practicing law. And now we have a new She-Hulk series that I have heard nothing but good things about. I really need to get reading my first issue. Number 3. Phoenix. While Phoenix is definitely one of the most powerful superheroes to be on the Avengers team, her history with them is a bit more lengthy than you might initially think. which is why I ranked her a little bit lower on this list than I normally would. Phoenix herself was back on the original Avengers team, the prehistoric Avengers, or the Avengers of 1 million BC. This avatar for Phoenix was known as Firehair. However, Firehair only made her first appearance even in 2017 in the comics, so she's also kinda new in a way, even though she's super old. Does that make sense? Maya Lopez, aka Echo, is the current host of the Phoenix Force and the current Phoenix, who also finds herself on the Avengers team. Her being Phoenix is new, but her being on the Avengers team is not new. She rejoined the team in 2021 as Phoenix, which is quite new, like I said, but she actually was a member of the Avengers way back in 2005, when she was using the mantle of Ronin. Still, Maya being Phoenix and being part of the Avengers altogether is quite fresh right now, despite both the Phoenix Force's history with the prehistoric team and Maya's own history with the present day team. And of course, Phoenix is one of the most powerful entities in the entire Marvel universe. So despite her being kind of a new old combo thing, we have to show respect to the blazingly brilliant and powerful Maya Lopez, aka Echo, aka Phoenix, on this list. Number 2. Cable. Nathan Summers ended up joining the Avengers team at a time when Captain America was seeking to present a show of unity. Hence, Cable ended up being on the Avengers Unity division, which was meant to bring together Avengers and X-Men after events of Avengers vs. X-Men had created tension between the two superhero groups of Earth. Series-wise, the team was known as the Uncanny Avengers, with Cable joining up as early as issue number 4. Cable is an extremely powerful telepath and telekinetic due to him being the offspring of X-Men member Cyclops and his wife at the time, Mr. Sinister created clone of Jean Grey, Madeline Pryor. Despite Maddie being his birth mother, Jean has also been like a mother to Nate after she was implanted with the memories of basically raising him, making her kind of like his telepathically retcon mom, with Maddie becoming more like a surrogate mother in terms of her relationship with Nate, formerly known to her as Baby Christopher. Oh, baby Christopher. Number 1. Avenger Prime. Avenger Prime is kinda like all of the Avengers merged together. At least, that's what the original version of this character was like. They made their first appearance in the 2013 Mighty Avengers series, but another character with that name also recently reappeared in the 2021 Free Comic Book Day Avengers and Hulk comic. They showed up in the Avengers portion of that double feature story comic. Here, Avengers Prime is the leader of the Deathlock Avengers forces, who basically stands guard at the God Quarry, seeking to watch, protect, and warn against major multiversal threats and potential chronal collapses. Presumably, this is some version of Avenger Prime that decided to stay omnipotent and bonded together. At least that's what I'm assuming. Some people are assuming different things. When we saw Avenger Prime last, or an alternate version of them if you will, they were created using a ritual which allowed the team of Mighty Avengers to bond together. Technically, Avenger Prime stands to be the most powerful of the Avengers, as they should be made up of one or more teams or rosters potentially combined together. Now, of course, some people believe that Avenger Prime is actually some sort of alternate version or some future version of Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, but we don't really know for sure yet. Whoever they are though, they definitely seem to have a lot of time, a lot of power, and a lot of resources on their hands, especially for being a shadowy figure.